Thanks for joining us for the Member xCite presentation. The Member xCite presentation is informative, interesting to the audience, and showcases the strengths of the presenter as an entrepreneur and their area of expertise. It's not a sales pitch, it's a 10-minute educational and insightful exploration into what they do. And of course, it's exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our xCite presenter today, Matthew Pollard from Rapid Growth Coach, to present to us on Momentum Partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Matthew Pollard.
Look, I know a lot of you have read my books, which is terrific. And one of the things you'll all see in the back of my second book, The Introvert's Edge to Networking, or in the later chapters, is where I kind of talk about different types of networking, or who we're supposed to be meeting in the networking room. And I mean, before I get to that though, I really want to spend a little second talking about why I'm bringing BX to the United States, and really bringing it to the northern hemisphere, because I know there's a lot of people from throughout Europe that are also joining these calls. And the biggest driver for me was, we all know that I want to get introverts into networking rooms. I want them to be planned and prepared. I want to make sure that they are having the right types of meetings. The problem is, in a lot of networking events we go to, we're used to going up to somebody and saying, "Oh, can I sell to you? What about you? What about you?" And that's not the way I see networking being successful. But a lot of times that then leads us to doing what I call aimless networking, which is really kind of having these shallow conversations with people, trying to play off what you do so you don't seem promotional in any way, shape, or form. And then you hand them a business card, they hand you a business card, and of course, that means that you're probably not going to call them, they're probably not going to call you, because you haven't really had the biggest connection. So my books were always about making sure that those meetings happened differently, so that you created, or you started to work on what I called strategic networking. The problem is, in a lot of networking events, we're either selling directly to the person that we're speaking to, or we're trying to get them to introduce us to someone to sell to. So for the longest time, I've been talking to people about these other two types of networking, because if we live in this world of transactional networking, we're stuck in this hamster wheel of struggling to always find interested people, trying to set ourselves apart, trying to make the sale, trying to convince them that, sure, our price is a little bit higher, but there's a reason for that. Now, sure, there's a lot of strategies in my book to show you how to combat that, but one of the biggest issues that I saw was that most networking events didn't really allow you, or didn't focus on creating these other two types of relationships, which are the things that I talk about, really driving you out of that hamster wheel. Now, the first group of people, and I think these are huge for making sure that our businesses succeed, the group of momentum partners. Now, what you'll find is that BX now is starting to utilize the term momentum partners. Up until recently, they used to call them referral partners, which, outside a couple of synonyms, Matt, the CEO of BX, and what I was saying for momentum partners were pretty much exactly the same thing. And I'll explain how Matt and I met a little bit later on. But what I really want you to understand is that this group of momentum partners is your ticket out of the hamster wheel. These are people that you meet, and you're not trying to sell to them. And as a matter of fact, you shouldn't sell to them, because their value is so much higher if you get them inspired about what you do, if they believe in what you do, because these are the types of people that will open up their Rolodex to you. And you, because you believe in what they do, also should open your Rolodex to them. So these one-on-ones that you're going to see in BX are huge for that, because you're going to get the opportunity to share what you do, why you're passionate about what you do, maybe share a story if you're familiar with my work, to really help people understand and remember what you do. But at the end of those one-on-ones, more often than not, you're going to get an offer for an introduction. Now, of course, an offer for an introduction to a potential customer is great. However, an introduction to somebody that is working with a similar demographic that you work with, not necessarily a competitor, but somebody that's working with a demographic of people like you do, that you can JV with, that you can offer referrals to, that don't give you one customer, but give you a series of customers on tap throughout the year, throughout years and years. That's really what's going to make the biggest impact to your business. So what you're really looking for is to inspire the people that you meet in these one-on-ones with your passion, your mission, your care. You want to inspire them to introduce you to somebody that's working with a similar demographic that you are, because that will lead to those partnerships that will far exceed a single transactional deal. On top of that, you want to meet people that are going to introduce you to somebody that potentially could get you on a podcast where thousands of people that are your ideal clients could be listening along. That is going to make such a big difference to your business. I know for a fact that there was a time, and for those that have read the foreword for my first book, The Introvert's Edge on Sales, it was written by a lady called Judy Robinette. And when she first reached out to me, it was clear she wanted to hire me. But I saw that she was one of the most connected people on the planet. And I saw there was so much more value arming her as a momentum partner for me. Because if she could believe in what I did, and I thought what she did was amazing, I felt that we could be amazing momentum partners. She has introduced me. Now, she wanted a little bit of advice on how to close speaking deals. I gave her a little bit of advice, and it gave her so much more income that year. But while I would have made a tiny little amount on that coaching, she's introduced me to, I think, 30 or 40 podcasts at this point. And I've introduced her to a ton of podcasts, not because we had a formal agreement like you give me a podcast, I'll give you a podcast, but just because we had this unwritten understanding that we thought each other were awesome. And because of that, we introduced each other. That's the power of a momentum partnership, because those 40 podcasts have led to hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably more than that, in revenue for my business and credibility that I wouldn't have got without her support. And she goes on a podcast, she introduced me every time, and I do the same for her, which means I don't have to hustle to be on podcasts, because that self-perpetuates. That, with a few other momentum partnerships, have really made my business succeed. So what I want you to understand is, as you're going through these one-on-ones, don't ask them who they can introduce you to that you can hard sell to. Don't try and sell to the person that you're speaking to, but look for those kind of relationships. And you'll find that that is going to make the biggest impact on your business. Now, the other group, these are the group that can give your business credibility. This is what I call champion relationships. Now, a champion relationship is somebody that believes in your work and is willing to endorse it and gives it credibility. For instance, Marshall Goldsmith is an amazing supporter of my work. You know, he shared about my books, he's endorsed my books. He's one of the most influential people in the world. And because of that, like, imagine the number of people that I speak to that are in this champion box, that they go to networking events and they meet someone, and that person straight away goes, oh my gosh, if I got this person as a customer, I could be rich. Well, no, you could be rich if these people believe in the work that you do and are willing to endorse it to their audience. People like Marshall Goldsmith do this for me. People like the author of E-Myth, you know, Michael Gerber, does this for me. And because of that, it gives my work credibility. It gets maybe some of you that are listening today to go, you know what, I'll check out this person's books. Maybe they invite me on podcasts as well. But these people I will never sell to. Now, I do introduce them to people that I think will add value to them, but not somebody that's going to sell to them either. So if you go to a networking event asking for these introductions and then you sell to them, you've hurt that relationship both with the champion and with the person that introduced you. So don't be afraid to share what you do. And if you get an opportunity to meet a champion, don't sell to them. And definitely, you know, make sure that you go with that mindset. Otherwise, that person's not going to feel comfortable introducing you. That's what I loved about BX. BX gives you this open forum that's not salesy, that allows you to share what you do and have a listener that knows you're not going to hard sell who they're going to introduce you to, which therefore allows them to open up their Rolodex a lot more to allow you to create those momentum partnerships and those champion relationships that are going to put absolute growth behind your message, your mission, your passion. And that's what I love to see. Now, what's funny is going back, and this was really back in, I think about a year and a bit ago, I was speaking at an event in Australia. And this guy, Dale Beaumont, who I have to say, I actually used to watch this guy speak from stage and go, wow, this guy's awesome. I mean, I was just starting with business and I never thought I could speak from stage, far beyond my beliefs that I'd be doing what I am doing today. But I actually got the opportunity to speak from his stage and share with his audience. And when we were done, he said, you know, there's one person that I really think you should meet. See, I just invested in this business called BX. And I think that you two should meet. Now, what was interesting at that time is obviously, the Introvert's Edge to Networking was just published. And I had no interest in opening up a networking event, but I did want to see a different type of networking that was less transactional exist in the United States. So because of that, what I decided to do was look for a networking event, couldn't find one. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I might have to start one to allow my introverted readers to be able to go networking in a way that they can look for these types of relationships in a more formatted way. Now, the last thing I wanted to do was do that because, gosh, there's a huge amount of logistics behind setting up a networking event. Well, when Matt and I met, as I said before, the really interesting thing was outside a few synonyms, his definition of referral partnerships, which was all BX was about. As a matter of fact, I say, sure, you can get customers potentially, but, it's just the nature of what you do. If you share what you do, somebody says, my gosh, I need that. Of course, a sale may occur, but that's not the focus of BX. The focus of BX was all about developing these other types of relationships that truly make a difference. And I went, you know what? This is good enough for me to bring to the United States because I just believe it can have that amazing impact. Now, the other thing that I like is it's less formatted than a lot of other networking events where you have to show up every week and things like that. And because of that, it means that this introvert can put events that I want to go to in my schedule. I don't have to even be live. I mean, we are launching this live in Austin, Texas, which I'm ecstatic about. Actually getting Matt, obviously, to Austin, and I'll be there the 31st of March and the 4th and 6th or 8th of April. I always get those dates confused to actually launch that live in Austin. But the other thing is that I love the fact that I can dedicate a period of time, 2 hours, to coming on to a virtual networking event, get the opportunity to practice my pitch constantly, as well as have these 3 meetings. And you'll find as you go through these meetings, you'll see that the reason we've asked you for this 40-second pitch is for 2 reasons. One is so you get to share with everybody what you do, but secondly, so the team in the background can match make you with somebody that they feel that you're an amazing fit to meet, so that there's more potential for these momentum partnerships and champion relationships to occur. So that's why we do this presentation, not just because I want to add tremendous value to you, but we do this presentation because there is a team behind the scenes that are pulling their hair out trying to marry all these people up in the background and make sure you have those great relationships. So I will say that if there's somebody that you want to meet, make sure you post it in the comments section, in the messages now, because if you do that, you'll probably find that you get married up with that person during the one-on-ones. If there's somebody that you kind of just want to have a dialogue with, this is what I love about this. There's a huge time saving and say, hey, I just want to chat. Now you don't have to do the scheduling. You don't have to reach out. All of a sudden you're on a one-on-one call and you can do business. And when I say do business, I do not mean sell to that person. I mean foster a long-term relationship that supports each other in a way that truly adds difference to your business. So I really want you to focus as you're going through these sessions on not fostering transactional deals, not focusing on sales, but focusing on building those momentum partnerships, building those champion relationships that are going to have that impact. Now, the other thing, a lot of you who have read my book, you know that I've developed scripts that I want you to use when you're doing follow-up. Now, those scripts are obviously going to have a huge impact, especially if you're just meeting someone at random. The other thing that I like about BX is they're actually going to give you scripts that you can use to follow up, not again to make a sale, but to follow up introducing a short blurb about you into that email so that you can give somebody everything they need to do an introduction to that podcast host, to that potential referral partner, that momentum partner that's going to introduce you to their clients, and you will do the same for them. So that's why I liked BX, because it gives you that structure. And everybody, BX Online is the easiest way to do that because, I'm obviously a little bit more dressed up than perhaps my usual, way I dress when I come to to the office. But I don't have to worry about getting to a location and doing that. Now, I will say for those in Austin, it's wonderful because you'll actually get to do that live. And you know, that camaraderie, I have to say, while it still draws my energy, not as much as it used to, that camaraderie that where you get to meet people face to face, I've missed that during this whole COVID lockdown, which is why I'm really ecstatic about moving it into Austin and then moving it into other cities. But for us introverts that like to baby step in, take real advantage of this BX event, the upcoming virtual BX events. It gives you a great opportunity to practice what you've learned in my books, practice your pitch if you're just getting the script from BX, and focus on fostering a different type of relationship, a relationship that has a much better impact on your business, but also doesn't feel so uncomfortable to make, because everybody here is just supporting each other, which is what networking should be. A group of individuals learning about other people's relationships, fostering a trust and introducing them to people that they know that may be able to further their mission, their cause, their passion, not to sell to. But it was lovely to spend some time. Again, there's so many familiar faces that I see at this event today. So thank you for coming. If you're obviously a fan of my work and you just wanted to check this presentation out, or if you just wanted to check out what this BX thing is, I have to tell you, I spent a lot of time looking for networking events, and what you're about to experience, the one-on-ones, is the reason why, especially in this digital world, it's so hard to do this stuff, is the reason why I wanted to see this exist in the Northern Hemisphere and why I'm so excited about launching it in Austin.